I'm sorry. But Todd, no, Todd has to be different. He's got to do it this way. But seriously, folks, this guy is an incredible musician. We're so glad that he joined our ranks here. And Todd has a wonderful story to tell. And we'd like for him to share some of his musical talents with you and some of his incredible testimony with you. Please give it up for tenacious Todd Waites.
My plan to take you guys over has started. What is going on, Michigan? Do you guys mind if I talk just for a second? All right, do me a favor, look at your neighbor, any neighbor, pick a neighbor. Say hi. Hi. Say, guess what? What? God has a plan for your life. And it's good. Look at your other neighbor. Say, "Wada!" Say, "Wow, you look really nice tonight." Guess what? You guys are good. See, God has a mighty purpose for your life. And it's Mac Daddy. Guys, those aren't my words. Those are God's words. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that He has plans for each and every one of us, and they are for good. And there's nowhere, if you go home and look at that, I promise, it does not say, except for you. Okay? Now, as Jay said, the band is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I actually live, I just moved to Columbus. I'm going to sound like a vagrant when I tell you this. I must have like, I don't know, gypsy blood, but I was born and raised in Strongsville, Ohio. I moved to Sterling Heights, Michigan. Actually graduated high school there. Moved back to Ohio. And so as I was growing up, I really didn't know what God's plan was for my life, or if He even had one. And when I was 4 years old, I started playing keyboards. I was just a little guy, and I could barely reach the bench and the keys, but I would get up there every day and play. And as I got older, I got more and more into it. My parents started getting me lessons, and it just became part of my life. And when I was roughly 13, 14 years old, I found out something really strange. There were these annoying, long-haired, like annoying-voiced human beings called girls. But at that age, I realized, wow, they're kind of attractive. And you know, I play music, I see rock stars, they have girlfriends, and they're doing all right. So maybe if I get a portable keyboard, something I could take around, I could be in bands with my friends, maybe I'll actually get a girl. Pretend I didn't hear that. And so anyway, I got a paper out, and I wanted to save up to get a keyboard. I was 14 years old. It was 1982. Yeah, do the math. All right, I'm fairly ancient. And had a paper out. I saved $100. So back then in 1982, that was a decent chunk of change to save up for. Now, here's what's really crazy about this time. There was no internet. Anybody remember that? Yeah. Remember when if you were trying to buy something, you had to actually look at a newspaper? Can you believe it? Well, I found a keyboard, and it was a couple hours away from where I lived, and I went to my parents and said, look, I have this money. It's exactly what he's asking for. It's exactly what I want. And by today's standard, the keyboard was like equivalent of like Toys R Us keyboard, but it's what I needed at the time, and it's what I could afford. And my dad said, look, that's pretty far away. Call a guy and ask him to hold it, because your cousin is getting married in that same exact town in 3 weeks. So I called the guy and I'm like, look, I have the money, I want the keyboard, can you please hang on to it? And he said, look, I appreciate it, but if somebody shows up with the money, I'm going to have to sell it. And here's what's great about 1982, that was well before stalking charges. So I called this guy 7 or 8 times later that day, and he finally said, look, kid, I'll hold it for you, stop calling me. So about 2 weeks and 6 days go by. It's a Friday night, and Saturday, the next day, I'm going to get this keyboard, and boy, time just was so slow during that time. And so I had some nervous energy. So that Friday night, I went outside and was playing catch with my neighbor. However, on the very first pass, as I threw the ball, it sounded like a tree branch breaking. It was very, very loud, very audible, and it felt like somebody was grabbing my upper arm and just squeezing it really hard. And I went home and I said, gosh, there's something's up. And my dad thought, oh, you dislocated your shoulder, and we'll go get it x-rayed by. My mom actually worked for a chiropractor at the time who was still in the office about 9 o'clock at night. And because she worked for me, he was a family friend, he pulled me into his office and said, Todd, your arm is broke. You have to tell me what really happened. I said, I threw a football. He goes, did you get in a fight or something and you don't want your dad to know? I said, if I got in a fight, that guy would have the broken bones. So he said, you're going to have to get it looked at. I really didn't think anything of it. And the next day, we picked up the keyboard and went to the wedding, and I had a cast on. Well, it kind of skyrocketed from there. Monday we went to go see a specialist who started taking tests and started the process. Ended up I had a very advanced, very, very rare childhood bone cancer. And not only was that not good, and not only was that coming on very strong, when the bone broke, all of this cancer cells scattered, and they weren't sure where. They said, look, we're going to have to amputate your whole arm, your whole shoulder. We're going to put you on very rigorous chemotherapy for nearly 2 years. And if you do all of that, you may have a really slight chance to live. It was very, very dramatic for my parents, but my head was really in, yeah, whatever, I want to go home and play my keyboard. Can I go now? So one night I go to sleep with 2 arms. The next day I wake up with 1, and literally was handed a death sentence. But when I reached over and I saw that I could still flip my eyelid inside out with 1 hand, I knew that I would make it. So, look folks, I'm not telling you that I've never felt, thank you. I'm not telling you I've never felt ugly in my life, that I've never felt not worthy, that I've never felt not good enough. But none of those were because of my physical being. Those were my emotions and my mental being. Because you know what? I was born a work in progress, and I'm still a work in progress. And I gotta tell you, Philippians 4:13 tells us we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. Are you guys with me? All right. You guys mind if I play a little more? All right, guys, now stand to your feet, if you would. Jimmy, give them a clapping beat.